Here we go.
Okay.
All right, we're rolling again.
The red light says we're recording.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to keep my hands off.
Okay. So we finished up with getting married, and we've been married happily ever after. We were for 3 years, although we've been together for 17. And Ruth always says that she didn't know anybody that wanted to get married after being together for 14 years. So it was, that in itself was remarkable, never mind that the state actually allowed us to do it.
I remember when we filed our income tax. Of course, we have filed separately for federal, but we filed jointly for the California state. And I remember getting that check, and it had my name and her name on the same check. Took a picture of it. Going, this is totally awesome.
This is history.
Yeah.
My precious.
Yes.
I don't know, what other stories were we telling you yesterday?
You tell me how you met.
Oh, we met in the bar, yeah.
The connection.
Yeah.
On
I was
Sullivan?
sitting, I was
no longer
sitting,
there.
I was talking to someone in the bar who was kind of an annoying person from Chicago, and she was on one side of me, and Ruth came in and sat on the other side of me. So I'm sort of continuing this conversation with the annoying person, and then doing asides with Ruth. And then so Ruth and I started cracking up, and pretty soon the annoying person left, and me and Ruth stayed and got drunk, and I picked her up and brought her home.
Did you do it the first night?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, we didn't stop for
We didn't stop for a month. They're like bunny rabbits.
I tell you, it was like, I was 40. I was like at my sexual peak, and baby, I knew I was at my sexual peak. But I had more fun in that first year we were together. And everybody was so jealous. All the straight people that I knew was so jealous. She's coming in with a smile on her face every day.
She must be getting it all the time.
She wakes up and fixes me breakfast at 5 o'clock in the morning.
She did. She would get up and fix me breakfast, and when I had to be at work at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I know it's love.
We do okay.
Yeah, we've been doing all right. We're still in pretty good shape for the shape we're in.
Yeah.
So, Claudia, you used to work for the police department?
I did. I
Santa
worked for the
Monica?
Santa Monica Police Department for almost 20 years. And after 20 years, an opportunity came up to become the investigator for the city attorney. So I jumped at that and spent the last 5 years of my working life happily employed there. The difference is between working for people who all their rules and regulations and policies and procedures are geared to the lowest common denominator at the police department, to at the city attorney's office, where they assume you know what you're doing, and they just throw files on my desk and say we need whatever, and assumed that I would do it, and
Okay,
that
thank
I'd
you,
do whatever
Peabody.
they wanted, and
Peabody.
and if there was any problem, I'd get back to them. So it was just a wonderful thing being treated like an adult.
Everybody's a critic. The dog moved
Yes, the dog is moving the
The dog moving the
tripod. Let's try to think of the name of it. Peabody.
Ernie.
Excuse me. Thank you.
every day, dog.
Well, I do remember Ruth coming to work and saying, "Hey, do you want me to have Claudia come over in her uniform?" Cheap thrills, cheap thrills.
Girls fall for uniform.
She wasn't in a uniform when I met her.
That's true.
She put it on later that night.
I'm not telling you anything, but always find the key before any play goes on.
With the handcuffs.
Find the key.
And use handcuffs till the key has been presented. Yeah, you can have some water, sure.
Yeah, we dated for a year, and then we moved in together. After that, for 5 years, we were in an apartment.
Just a few years.
Yeah, and then I bought Claudia's ex out of the homes that they had shared, and that was over 10 years ago. So we've been
well over 10 years ago.
we've been having a love affair for 17 years.
Yeah.
So after a year, basically you got out of bed and rented the U-Haul.
Yeah, we didn't do
And
that
moved
like
in
the
together?
first day or even the second day. It was like it took a while. We were trying to be, intelligent about it in our lust.
Because the relationship before that was like totally for the woman from another planet.
Well, and that
Does
Ruth,
everybody have one of those where they
everybody
It's a
requires
rule.
to have one nutcase relationship at least.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I have mine on that.
And then, so one day when we were moving in together, we're putting our CDs on a rack. And Ruth's going, I need to put labels on these with which ones are mine and which ones are yours. I said, why? She says, well, because if we break up, then I'll know which ones are mine. I said, if you're already planning on breaking up, do it now. And she went, oh.
And I said,
And,
and I realized that was the commitment. And I was right about it, the possibilities of us breaking up. There was a good chance of us breaking up. And the more I thought about it, it was like, the more I realized that's the work that you have to do. That's the honesty that you have to feel. And that's, people ask us what kept us together all these years. And the main thing I could say was respect.
Well, and plus we still think we're funny.
Yeah, and a good funny person needs an audience.
Yes. Well, I have to say, Ruth was my roommate when my now wife and I got together, and she was my advisor.
That's scary.
I know. I would come home and I would say, well, I asked her what she liked about me, and she said, your honesty and your integrity. And she said, oh, you're in big trouble. She didn't say anything about your tits or ass. She said, somebody's got to make a move here. She said, get yourself going, Marcia, and kiss her.
That's right.
Very good advice.
Did it work?
Plant
Apparently.
Yes.
a pair of lips on her and say hello.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Again, since Marcia brought up our living experiences, Marcia's a witch, which I'm Southern Baptist, and then I just freaked out over that first time, and I'm learning the Wiccan ways, and she's also an herbalist and more naturalist, which is actually comes with the Wiccan ways, and she helped me stay in California by giving me a place that I could afford to stay. At the time I was working for Roger Corman, who was the king of B movies. He did the original Little Shop of Horrors, and known in the sci-fi horror world as the king of B movies, not A, B. Anyway, she not only surprised me, she surprised a lot of people. I remember the cable guy came out to put in cable one year, and he went up the ladder, and about 2 minutes later he was running down the ladder, going out of the ladder, speaking in Spanish and just putting his gear all in the all back in his truck. And I was going, well, what the hell? Why the face?
Oh, WTF?
Shut the front door. So I went out to the ladder, put up the ladder, climbed up, and there's all these skulls and, and skeletons on the roof of the house, drying out, bleaching in the sun.
Now, Ruth, one of these skulls happened to be one that you brought back for me.
The cat?
From Louisiana, I believe. How did
alligator
you get
one?
it back? No, it was a cow. It was
Oh,
a
wow.
cow skull. Beautiful. And Christy told me I should put it up there to bleach it out. I didn't know I was going to scare the bejeebies out of the guy.
It's not
But
your
I
fault
wanna-
he's so sensitive.
I don't remember it, but I'm thinking you must have driven because I don't think they would have let you brought it back on a plane.
Hey, lady, what are you doing with the cow's head in there?
She was like, look what I have for you.
You were into them.
I was very into bones at that time.
Yeah.
Much into bones.
So,
Yeah.
and
I still have quite a few. I have them on the porch, and I have some turtle shells from
Oh, yeah.
turtles that have passed us. Along with the rocks and stuff. But,
Yeah. Well, rocks are
yeah.
important. What other stories did you want to tell her about, honey?
I guess when I first came out to, after I started living with Marcia, I was going out to the local hangouts and met this woman in Long Beach. And I won't say her last name, but I'll call her by her first name. It was Naomi. So here you go, having Ruth and Naomi, which is a book. Ruth is a book, a chapter in the Bible, and she's known for saying one line that's used in most marriages: "Where thou goest, I will go, and your people shall be my people." Well, she doesn't say that to her husband. She says that to a woman. So it's two women talking, and that's how I felt about Claudia. I was going to share the rest of my life with her.
Yeah. That worked out for you.
Yeah.
I was going to, just a couple of short incidents about working at the police department and being a lesbian. First of all, the reason that I even applied for a job at the police department was because a friend of mine said, I was looking for a job, and a friend of mine said, you should go down and apply at the police department. They got a lot of cute dykes working down there. Oh, okay. So I was all over that. Then, working in a primarily male environment, I would occasionally talk to the guys about, what were their problems about gay people. And one of the officers said, he said, I don't have any problem with lesbians. He says, I don't mind being backed up by a dyke. I just don't want to be backed up by a ferry. And I'm like, if somebody cares enough to want to be a policeman, don't worry about who's backing you up. But it's much easier for women to be out in the police department or law enforcement than it is for men. And another my supervisor at the time said, like, what? I don't understand what people have problems with lesbians. He said, we like the same thing.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I'm going with my new do right here is I'm not recovering actually, from ovarian cancer. I've been battling ovarian cancer for over 3 years. The day before Christmas, '07, I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and Christmas Eve or Christmas Day?
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve, but when did I have surgery?
Christmas Eve.
Okay, I had a total hysterectomy on Christmas Eve. I joked about it because I thought it was funny. Only at Cedars-Sinai would I want to do this the day before, Christmas, because nobody there cared. Okay, and yeah,
I don't care about Christmas.
they're Jewish. They don't. And anyway, did a round of chemo. It worked for a while. Did another round of chemo. Worked for a while. Did the last chemo and it stopped working. So at this point, I am in hospice. Don't really know if I've got 3 months or 6 months or 3 weeks at this point. So it's kind of scary. I've been going through the stages of the denial and all this stuff. And I guess the thing that's been bothering me the most is leaving a legacy.
Yeah, I know. They've been worried about that.
And I think a lot of lesbians, and a lot of lesbians do get ovarian cancer because they don't have children. And if you don't have children, you're at higher risk.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we went to, we stayed in a lesbian resort for a few days a couple of years ago in Key West. And among the women that were there, it was like 8 out of 10 of them either had ovarian cancer, had lost someone to ovarian cancer, or were nursing someone with ovarian cancer. It was just, we'd sit down and start talking to people, and we'd talk about Ruth being sick and this and that, and they're like, oh yeah, me too, or oh my, I just lost my wife, or
Oops, sorry.
it was phenomenal, the percentage. Ernie, take off, dude. It was really bizarre.
Yeah, and I remember one woman already had a PICC line, which is used for giving medicine, so to save your veins. Had one of those for a couple of times. But I could see, I'm really, both me and Claudia have supported the Mazer physically and financially over the past years, because it is something that will live on since most of us don't have children. This is a remembrance for us, kind of like a little tombstone.
Yeah, well, it's a remembrance. It's an archive.
Yeah.
I thought of something that I thought it was ironic. Do you remember once when we were working together at Concord, and you had to take a script or something somewhere where you couldn't park? So I rode with you, and you were listening to Gilda Radner's story about her journey with ovarian cancer, and you were crying your eyes out, and I'm like, Ruth, I don't think you should be listening to this while you're driving. This may not be the best book on tape. For this little journey here, we're winding through these canyons. I'm like,
there is Gilda's Club now, a organization. They have one house in Palm Springs, and it's known as Gilda's Place, and that's where women with ovarian cancer or families of women with ovarian cancer can go and get support. And Gilda Radner was one of my heroes because she's a great comic, and I perceive myself to be very funny.
Very funny.
Yeah, I perceive you to be funny too.
I am.
So. Works
We
out
are
for-
funny.
That's right. That's right.
Did we tell you these stories yesterday that we haven't gotten to?
well, let me think. But I had one more
Did
question.
All
you
right.
put your wedding rings on?
I did put my
this?
wedding rings on.
There you
Oh,
go,
good.
fine.
Yeah.
They're
Yes, she
much
had
better.
been golfing yesterday and had her wedding ring off. This was a
Yeah,
problem.
that's
I got my rings back on.
So I think my line was, the worst thing about being
Lesbian.
a lesbian is to get one ring, you have to get two.
So now, how do hospice people come to the house
Yes.
on a regular
Yeah.
basis?
I have 5 people on my team. Two people
Going
are
out the backyard.
caregivers. They come and help me bathe and put lotion on my dry skin or what. Excuse me.
She was blocking some light that now is.
Hospice people, there's an aide that comes in that assists with bathing and general care, and there's a 2 nurse visits a week, and there's a doctor that writes prescriptions, but we've never seen him.
Yeah.
I think is interesting. They just send medicine like morphine and things like that. which I think is odd, but that's how it works. And they send a social worker to make sure that, we're not going to kill each other and that the household is in some reasonable condition. And then they send us a spiritual advisor. Now, the hospice people we're with is called Trinity Care, and they operate under the auspices of the Little Company of Mary. That's a Catholic organization. The spiritual advisor they sent us is a lesbian rabbi. I'm like,
there you go.
All right, that works for us. And she's actually been very helpful for Ruth, I think, in trying to come to terms with the end of her life. Been very helpful.
Okay. Does she help you as well? Or?
Yeah, I sit in on some of their sessions, and she's offered to have separate sessions with me. My primary source of solace is I go to my friend's house and drink wine, and she advises me.
Claudia has the hard work of taking care of me.
I'm just trying to make sure picture is still good, because once they have a friend who was on the couch and she moved.
And our lighting does screw up.
It's the lights over there.
All right, this is better. Oh, okay, I'm getting better here. Back in the okay. I just turned the camera a little and we got more light.
There's the 2 switches by the door. Flip those up.
Okay.
So
Ruth is the advisor.
There.
Okay.
I'm the technical director.
Yes, she is. She's the director of photography, the director for the whole thing. Her big advice right now is keep your fingers off of it, Marcia. Don't turn off the camera again.
Yesterday doing that.
Yes, that was. You may have some action shots from yesterday.
No, we don't.
We didn't. We just heard the kind of a oh no yeah. And
that would be me screaming. I'm the one who screams when she starts falling because I want to stop time.
I think I did. When we were doing this the first time yesterday, I was trying to be the helper, and I can barely walk now. I'm so weak. Anyway, so when I started going, there was no stopping, and I was just aiming for the grass. And thank God I hit mainly the gravel and the grass, and my head didn't hit the bricks.
Hallelujah.
Last time I was dizzy.
Thank you, Goddess.
Last time I was dizzy, it was a couple of years earlier, and I was dizzy on my front porch.
Ooh.
And there was no one to stop my fall.
I was taking her actually in for a treatment up to Cedars, and I'd walked her to the front porch, and I turned around to go get my bag or my keys or whatever, and I got back to the front door, and in the meantime she had fallen down the front steps and landed on her head and knocked her head open.
Like a 6-foot ball to concrete.
And and her eyes are rolling back, and I'm just standing in the front yard screaming.
Like a girl.
Like a girl. And it's Sunday morning, and we live in a primarily black neighborhood. And everybody who was going to church, everybody came out to see what the girls were up to now. And so when the paramedic rolled up, there everybody's out. It's so funny.
Yeah.
I just want to know if they had on their hats.
No.
No.
No hats.
No hats.
They didn't have any hats. But they sent 2 units. And
No, not the paramedics.
Oh, the people.
The people who going to church.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can't go to hell without it. You can't go to hell without your church.
Yeah.
Can't go to church without
There you
that.
go.
Yeah, see? Yeah. Yeah, they were ready,
Dressed to the nines.
pretty much.
Okay, I'm going to tilt this just a little. There.
And
Oh, good. That's good. That's better. Ha! Ruth has a neck.
yes, she does, and it's quite lovely.
Okay, doing fine.
Let's see, what else did we talk about yesterday?
Well, we started talking about sports in Title IX, but I think some of that might be best saved till we bring Marietta in.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else?
Oh, I remember yesterday I was telling, as Ruth said, I am Wiccan, and we were going to celebrate belting at the house, and Ruth was going out, going to go elsewhere. But before she left, I think may have been you and Naomi, and that is Peabody in the background.
He's in his toy box looking for something good.
He's looking for this very special toy. But we had a hot tub, and my Kevin and I were going to soak in the tub and chat and stuff, but we couldn't get the heat to work on it. So they boiled water, big pots of water, and carried them out and poured them into the hot tub was hot enough to get in. Oh, and I know what else. We talked about the Northridge quake.
Oh,
the Northridge
yes.
earthquake.
Yes. Ruth?
I was staying in Marsh's that night, and like it was my room. Anyway, I lived there. I was with the crazy girl.
Bridget.
Yes.
The crazy girl. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're going to say her name last name.
Oh, excuse me.
That's okay. But I thought the ceiling was coming down. That's being from the South. That's the only thing I knew about. I'm going to come to California. The big one's going to hit. We're all going to die. You know. That's,
We're all gonna die.
She crossed the border saying this.
I
She
knew
packed
this.
her bag saying this.
And so the earthquake started, and the first thing I did was roll off the bed and run to the side and lay beside the bed. So if the roof comes down, the bed will shield me.
And then she proceeded to yell, "Get down on the floor! Get down on the floor, Marcia! And I said, I'm not getting out of bed. I covered my head with the blanket. That was my protection.
But every chimney on the street we lived on died that morning, and
The freeway fell down.
Yeah,
Just a few blocks away at La Cienega.
it was just before dawn when it happened.
Yeah, and since I had to be at work at 6 o'clock, I had my coffee pot set to go off at 4:30. So the coffee was made just before the earthquake happened, so that I had hot coffee. I was one of like the few people on the block.
Yeah,
my coffee
because there was no electricity
Okay?
after that. But I have to say, Ruth and her lover went door to door in our neighborhood and made sure everyone was all right.
Yeah,
Me, I stayed under the covers.
well, that's
Denial is a good place.
Yes. It took me a few months to get afraid.
Well, only a few months later, there was a pretty good
Aftershock.
aftershock the day that Gay Pride was supposed to be. That morning, it was a 6 point something aftershock, and it was like we didn't know if we were going to do the gay parade or not because of the big earthquake, this other new earthquake, and 6.3 I think, and people had within minutes people had T-shirts. I survived the 6.3 queer earthquake. You know, that's great.
Oh, that's what else you were talking about, the Dykes on Bikes.
Oh yeah.
Mhm. One of our great experiences.
Yeah, I started to do the bucket list a couple of months ago before I knew that my treatment was no longer working. I started putting down the 10 things that I wanted to see before I died, and I wanted to do. And one of the things I had put on there that I could cross off was Dice on Bikes. One year, me and Claudia both had motorcycles, and we opened up the gay parade, and it was totally.
It was a blast.
Yeah,
It was just a blast.
it was in the right timing, because we wouldn't have done it the year before, or couldn't do it the year after. But now that that's we did the dice on lights, and it was very much fun. Yeah, that's
There's
one
something
thing I
else you
got.
want to do?
I wanted to see the Northern Lights, but that's, I don't think gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't think you can fly.
Well, you know, I'm comfortable, so I'm not really in want of anything. Because, I don't know, I keep thinking how lucky I've been.
Had a good run, baby. You ain't quite that.
Right?
So bring Marietta over here and pull up another
Yeah.
chair?
Yeah.
You wanna just do that?
Let me get out of the,
Oh, you wanna just get up?
yeah.
We'll
Are
make
you sure?
Marietta cry first before you get
Oh,
on.
That's
sorry,
fine.
don't cry, Marietta.
Thanks.
Sorry.
You don't want to stay in, Ruth?
You wanna
No,
stay in,
no,
honey?
no, I'll move.
You should probably, yeah, too much
Well,
talking.
I can sit.
You can sit here and I'll just move over into the queen chair.
All right.
Princess chair.
You are the queen.
I know, Ruth is the queen, don't be silly.
Okay.
You need-
Careful,
just give me a
careful.
hand.
We don't want any repeats.
There you go, baby.
Been there, done
No,
that.
wait,
Hold
wait
on.
for her bag, wait for the
Yeah, don't
bag.
pull that thing out either. Even though I could do it, it's not good. It's not good. There you go. There you go, Sullivan. Want me to put a pillow behind you?
Do you want your other bag for the bag?
That's all right. It's just more cosmetic than
Yeah.
function. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you cry.
Right. You know, they say crying and laughing have similar,
Cathartic effect.
yeah, similar healthy things happen in your body.
I'm sick of catharsis.
Yeah, the heck with it.
All right, now let me get you both in. You're gonna have to cuddle up here a little more. Get a little, yeah, get your chair in there. Okay, I'm gonna turn this a little bit. All right.
I'm much taller than Claudia.
Oh, so you're gonna have to slump, huh?
I was taller when I was sitting in that
Uh-oh,
chair, too.
cutting your head off.
I was taller in that chair.
All right, I adjusted it a little bit now. We should be good. Can you introduce yourselves again?
Yeah, I'm Claudia Brick,
And I'm Marietta Russell.
and Marietta and I have been friends since we met in Portland, Oregon, in 1972, playing softball on a team called the Lavender Meadows. And and then from there it just explodes.
That was like 39 years ago.
Well, yeah, it was a long time ago.
Ooh, we old.
Well, no, we don't have to say we're old now. We can say we were baby dykes then.
We were baby dykes and we were very cute.
We were so cute and we had so much fun.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, what kind of expertise did you have to be on your softball team?
Oh, well, you had to be a lesbian.
That was it.
Yeah,
That was it.
which is how we ended up with a pitcher that wore hiking boots and what other kind of odd duck?
We had Tia.
Well, I barely even remember Tia. Tia had like kaleidoscopic hair. That's what I remember about
Yeah.
Tia.
Yeah, we had some pretty fun people on our team. We were the most conservative.
Yeah,
There
we
were-
were actually.
Yeah, we were the most
We were
conservative.
just there to play ball. You
Yeah,
know.
we came to play ball. We were actually some
You
of the
actually knew
athletes.
how to play ball,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
opposed to many members of the team.
Some members
Yeah.
of the team were not quite up on the ball
Yeah.
playing thing, but it was a lot of fun to be a part of the lesbian ball.
Yeah, I actually started my softball career at 10.
Oh, so
I
you
played. My first team I played on was organized. It was in Santa Ana, California. And it was the
wow.
Pixies. I was the catcher because I was the only one that could throw the ball all the way to second base.
Yeah, I was the catcher in high school because I was the only one brave enough to stand back there and take the shots from the pitcher.
Right.
Yeah, that's a scary position.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, the only organized ball I played was in high school. I played in grade school. It's actually kind of funny because the principal of our grade school always made jokes about my dad being Dr. Brick. Because even though he only had a BA, it took him 8 years to get it. So he always joked about my father being Dr. Brick. And he also said, and he would say this stuff at, PTA meetings. He'd say like, yeah, and Claudia over there, she can kick a football farther than any of the boys in the 6th grade. It's like, yeah. That didn't help, however, provide any athletic guidance for any of us who are pre-Title IX,
Right.
bane of our existence.
Right. Yeah.
'Cause, you know, I really do. I really think that if there had been athletic opportunities
Right.
for us, competitive athletic opportunities, even into college, it would probably have changed the course of some of our lives.
That's for
I
sure.
think we
Yeah.
would have made
I would have
different-
had my college paid for.
Well, yeah, you would have your college paid for.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have taken me 20 years to get my BA.
Right.
So I'm delighted that there are so many women now able to participate in so many sports, and at the same time it pisses me off.
And that they don't pay homage to the women who made it happen.
Yeah, the young lesbians take for granted a lot of things we really had a battle for.
I would venture that young lesbians that may see this would not know what Title IX is, perhaps.
You're probably right. They don't appreciate what they have to me, and that's all.
What is Title IX, Claudia?
Title IX is part of the United States government code that required that colleges and universities spend as much money or a proportionally more amount of money on women's athletics as they did on men's athletics, and it was brought up as a sexual discrimination suit that eventually made its way into the U.S. government code.
And the public schools.
Yeah.
So they eventually had a bus that took the girls to the tennis matches. If we needed to go to any sort of sports thing, then if you didn't have a parent to drive you, then you didn't have a team. So.
Yeah. I mean, junior high, I remember being in the car. I was raised in San Jose, and there was a carload of us on the junior high basketball team, and we were in the car of Kathy's mother, and Kathy was sitting in the front seat because it was her mother's car, and a bunch of us in the back, and they were playing Beatles songs. It was 1964. And Kathy turned up, and the whole car is going like this because we're all singing and dancing and stuff to this wild Beatles stuff.
Ed Sullivan, huh?
Yeah.
He had the Beatles on.
He did. I know we had
It was
gone
like
skiing
a
that
big
weekend, and we
thing.
had to rush home so we could be home Sunday night to see it. So, and when we talked about stories that would be good to tell, one of my favorite stories is since we were an all lesbian team, and originally it was more about lesbian camaraderie than it was about softball, but eventually evolved into quite a competitive softball team. And we were still, for the most part, all lesbians, as were all the members, or for the most of the members of all the other softball teams in the Northwest. But they were teachers and professors and professional people, social workers and law
People that would
enforcement
get
people,
fired.
and they truly were afraid for their jobs should they be identified as lesbians, and it was funny and not funny at the same time. So we would go to tournaments in the summer, weekend-long tournaments, and one tournament we went to in Mount Vernon, Washington, was when we were just starting to become competitive. And we were, which means that we were still in the tournament Saturday night at the end of play on Saturday. We hadn't been bumped out of the double elimination
Instead of
tournament.
losing our first two and then going to the bar.
Yeah, right. It was 2 and out. So we had a big team meeting at the motel between the tournament and going out to dinner. And at the tournament, they'd given us a bunch of coupons for pizzas and beer at Pizza Pete,
Right.
who was one of the big sponsors. And so, since we had coupons, of course, we were going to go there for dinner. And we had this big team meeting, and it was like, okay, we're still in the tournament. We're not going to get drunk. We're not going to queer off. We're going to behave ourselves and be ready to play ball on Sunday morning. So we got to the pizza place, and I guess we're the only ones who didn't get the memo that not everybody was going to get there until 2 hours later. So by the time anybody else got there, we were drunker than Cooter Brown.
It's true. Actually, I stayed pretty sober because I think I ended up driving.
We were only a couple of blocks from the
Oh,
hotel.
other times I was the driver.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I was a good girl.
So by the time everybody else got there, we were drunk, and so everybody's buying pizzas and beers and carrying on, and then they bring a band in,
What could we do?
but dance. And so we danced with each other because we're the only people we knew there. And as the women on the other teams imbibed more and more beer, they too became less attached to their inhibitions, and they also started
The whole
dancing.
place was rocking and dancing, and it was great.
Clarice's aunt was dancing with her girlfriend,
That's
you
right.
know, they
And
were
we brought out the whole softball league came out.
pretty much.
Only for the night, though.
Yeah, only for the night. They went right back to the closets immediately thereafter.
Yeah, they
but-
acted like nothing happened after. The
Yeah,
next
because
day.
even the next day they're like, well, we don't dance with each other. Well, they're like, you did too. You big fat liars. And that was the first time anybody on our team had gotten an All-Star, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or an award. And
Okay.
Clarice got Miss Congeniality. He got the sportsmanship award.
Oh.
Right. But by 1980, we went to nationals.
Yeah.
In Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Wow. That was a big deal.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
It was way cool.
And Claudia, can you please tell us about your stardom?
My
Claudia
stardom.
was a super triple hitter. She played left field most of the time. Sometimes she played center. Actually, she could play about anything in the outfield. She was a line drive hitter. She could rip that ball a mile, and she used to be kind of quick.
I used to be kind of fat and slow now. My knees don't work so good. But there was one particular, well, two tournaments. There was one, again, when we were a very young team, that was our own 4th of July Portland Invitational Tournament that I hit really well at. And that was my first All-Star. And I just about went through, I just about jumped over the fence.
I know.
I was so excited. It was just so exciting. And one play that had, the play with Joy was in that
Joy,
tournament.
yeah, it was.
Was I was playing center field, right center, and a woman named Joy was playing right field. And there was a fly ball hit deep right field, and Joy and I are both running back. And Joy's like, I got it, and I'm right behind her. And so she goes off the tip of her glove, and I dove on the ground behind her and caught it.
We
And
went
everybody was
crazy.
like, ah!
We went crazy.
Yeah, we
that was
did.
way before videotaping. Too bad.
Yeah, it was hot. That was hot beans. And then another tournament a few years later, I got in literally into what they call the zone. I know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I had an entire tournament where I was playing left field, and I knew when everybody was going to hit to me, and that I could catch anything, and I did. I was like out there, I was out there hollering, "Come on, you know you're going to get it out here, you know." And everybody hit to left field, and I caught everything that came. It was just like the most amazing, surreal experience. Like never been there before, never been there since.
Also hit like 6 something.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal.
Yeah.
All in the same
Yeah.
thing.
Oh yeah.
And so they gave me a little award for defensive player of the tournament, and the little award was a bronze shoe. It was a bronze baseball shoe, and it was the same kind of shoe as I wore. And I had a ritual of every night before games I would shine my shoes. It was part of my deal.
Yeah.
Sit in the motel room, shine my shoes. I have a gift for the Major Foundation behind me that I just found. It's a friend of mine was a fast pitch pitcher, Louise
Louise Mazuka.
Mazuka the Bazooka, and she was she'd struck out. They played major league golf clubs,
Oh yeah.
and she'd strike out the side on these men's, major league teams.
Wow.
And she this played as a plate that was an all-star plate, a tournament she played in. That I'll send on with you.
Thank you so much.
I don't know if I've already given you the softballs that I have, the Joan Joyce and another one.
I know Ruth mentioned it. I don't think.
If I can find them, I will certainly
Okay.
give them to you.
And if anyone has a Lavender Menace T-shirt left,
I have a Lavender Menace T-shirt.
that would be
I
that
have
would be
it.
sweet.
And it's in Minneapolis right now.
I have a jacket, but it's a Furies jacket.
I have a Furies jacket also.
It's the old, those
Windbreaker.
ugly windbreaker with
Purple
all the
windbreaker.
little patches and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I have that too. Purple windbreaker. You can have that too.
Great.
So that's
And that's
kind of
How
how we
it
got
was.
from there to here.
I feel like
right.
And
Yeah, I
we've
know.
stayed in contact and been friends ever
Yeah.
since.
wow.
Yeah.
And you're in Minnesota now.
I am, sort of. Also Tucson, since I retired. Yeah.
So you're just out here for a little visit.
I came out to visit. I wanted to see Ruth and Claudia.
And we've been playing golf all week.
And we've been playing a little golf. I always said when I retired from softball, I didn't retire from softball till I was 54.
You were lucky.
I know.
Your
My
legs
knees,
held
my
up
knees
better.
are still good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I lost a step, but I had one to lose.
You had a lot. You were very fast.
I had one to lose.
Yeah, more so than the
And
rest.
then I didn't really have too many sports. I just watched sports. And then when I retired, I took my very first Social Security check and I bought new golf clubs. And I took lessons. And now I love golfing. I'm a golfer.
Golfing
I love
is so
it.
much fun. If you don't keep score, it's fun. If you keep score, it just make you nuts.
Yeah.
How do you know when to move to the next hole? I guess when the ball
When you
goes
put
in.
the ball in it.
Okay,
Or-
okay, I get
Or
it.
when you get front,
Yeah,
you go
this
like,
structure.
I've already hit the ball enough on this hole, let's move
Okay.
on.
That's
Okay.
it. I'm done now. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Silly me.
You're not a golfer, are you? No.
Not very much. It's kind of like sports and cameras. That's you can tell I'm not that great. I could not throw it to second base. I couldn't throw it to first base.
Oh, that was one color. Like ball.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite. Claudia had a pretty good arm, and we're like playing in this tournament in Washington somewhere. I think it was
Bellingham.
Yeah, but there was a lake behind us, Lake Sammamish or something like that, and it was over the backstop. The backstops are pretty high there. Well, we were all like, it was really intense. We were like playing really hard. It was kind of hot out there, and Claudia comes running in for a ball. She scoops it up on the bounce, and then decides to fire it home. And that ball just rose
it went
straight
up.
up in the air. It came off of her hand and went up in the air all the way over the backstop and into the lake.
And everybody just howl.
I know, it really broke the tension. We were like, wow.
Well, because we'd been, they'd even called a meeting on the pitcher's mound because we had runners on base and it was going to be a big
Oh,
tag
it's
play,
serious.
And so
It was-
any you outfielders get the ball, throw it home, So I
Claudia,
go, okay.
she ripped that thing. It was like her arm came unhinged. Like
I
she
was
had-
so embarrassed.
well, she like, I just watched it. I can't do it. Sing with it, sort of experience.
It was,
And we were all just stunned. And the only thing to do was laugh.
it was
It
funny.
was, so for many years after that, anything that was like too high for somebody to catch, we'd all go, lake ball. I still do lake ball, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just so funny. I mean, it was just like, how'd that happen?
It was just remarkable. It ball went like 40 feet straight up in the air and over the backstop
And into the lake.
water. And it was quite a ways.